My beloved child, tonight, you believe you know the whole story. You believe every word you heard, every memory you collected, and every conclusion you built has led you to the truth. But what if the truth has been standing in front of you while wearing a perfect disguise? Don't skip, because what unraveled last night changed everything in ways no one expected. A single conversation, a forgotten detail, and one silent moment connected pieces that never seemed related before. The picture you trusted has begun to crack, and behind those cracks is something far greater than anyone imagined. Every second from this point matters because the next revelation doesn't replace the old story, it completely rewrites it. Stay till the end, because the first layer has only just fallen away. There are moments in life when everything appears ordinary until one hidden thread is pulled. Last night, that thread was finally discovered. Suddenly, words that once sounded innocent carried a completely different meaning. Faces that seemed familiar no longer looked the same. Promises that felt unshakable started revealing invisible gaps that had been ignored for far too long. The most surprising part is that nothing changed overnight, only your ability to see it did. That's why so many people missed it. They kept looking at the surface while the real answer quietly waited beneath it. Don't look away now, because every new piece uncovers another question, and every question leads closer to the truth that has remained hidden in plain sight. Now the silence itself has become the biggest clue. Every pause, every forgotten detail, and every unexplained moment suddenly fits together like pieces of a puzzle no one realized they were solving. What happened last night wasn't loud. It wasn't dramatic. It was quiet enough that almost everyone overlooked it, yet powerful enough to change the meaning of everything you thought you knew. Don't skip, because what comes next will reveal why the story was never what it appeared to be. The closer you get to the answer, the more impossible it becomes to turn back, and before this journey is over, you'll realize that the greatest surprise was never hidden from you, it was hidden inside the story itself, waiting for the exact moment to be revealed. A strange feeling is beginning to grow, isn't it? The more you think about everything that happened, the more impossible it becomes to ignore the missing pieces. Stay till the end, because the next discovery is even more unbelievable than the last. Every clue that seemed meaningless is quietly pointing in the same direction, as if they were always waiting to be found together. The remarkable part is that no one had to create a new story. The story was already there. The only difference is that the hidden details have finally begun to surface. The deeper you look, the clearer it becomes that what you accepted as complete was only a small fragment of something much larger. Every unanswered question is preparing you for the revelation that is drawing closer with every passing second. The most unexpected part is that the answers never arrived all at once. They appeared one by one, almost too quietly to notice. A forgotten conversation suddenly sounds different. An overlooked decision begins to make perfect sense. Even ordinary moments now seem connected by an invisible pattern that nobody recognized before. Don't skip, because this is where everything starts to shift. The closer you move toward the center of the mystery, the more you realize that the truth has never been about a single event. It has been about the connections hiding between every event. That is why last night became the turning point. It wasn't because something new was created, it was because something old was finally understood in a completely different way. And now the final piece of this chapter is waiting. Imagine standing in front of a door that has always been unlocked, yet you never thought to open it because you believed there was nothing behind it. That is exactly where this journey has brought you. Every step has been leading toward a realization that changes the meaning of everything that came before. Stay till the end, because the next revelation doesn't simply answer your questions, it introduces an entirely new mystery that no one saw coming. Once that hidden layer is revealed, you will understand why everything you believed until tonight could never tell the whole story, and why what unfolds next is impossible to forget. Everything becomes even stranger from this moment because the truth doesn't appear as one dramatic revelation. It arrives quietly, almost as if it has been waiting for you to notice it on your own. Don't skip, because this is the moment where every assumption begins to collapse. Think about every detail you were certain about. Now imagine discovering that each one was only showing a fraction of the complete picture. Nothing was completely false, but nothing was completely true either. That is what makes this so unexpected. Last night didn't create a new reality, it exposed the hidden side of the one that already existed. Suddenly, moments that once felt ordinary begin carrying a meaning so powerful that they change the entire story from the beginning. The deeper you go, the more impossible it becomes to return to the way you used to think. Small details begin connecting across different moments as though they were always part of the same design. A forgotten glance, an unfinished sentence, an unanswered question, each one now fits into place with astonishing clarity. Stay till the end because the next discovery is unlike anything you've imagined so far. The pattern becomes impossible to ignore, and with every connection you make, another layer falls away. What looked like coincidence starts feeling intentional. What looked confusing starts making perfect sense. Yet every answer opens another door, revealing an even greater mystery waiting beyond it. This is why almost everyone misses the truth the first time they encounter it. They stop searching just before everything comes together. Now you're standing at the edge of the revelation that changed everything after last night. The final missing piece isn't hidden because it's difficult to find. It's hidden because it looks too ordinary to notice. That single realization changes the meaning of every event you've heard until now. Don't look away, because the next chapter doesn't simply explain what happened, it reveals why it had to remain hidden until this exact moment. Once that final connection is uncovered, you'll realize that the biggest surprise was never the secret itself. The biggest surprise is how close the truth had always been, waiting patiently for someone willing to see beyond the obvious. There is one final boundary that almost no one is willing to cross. It is not because the truth is frightening. It is because the truth asks you to let go of everything that once felt certain. Don't skip, because this is where the entire journey reaches its turning point. Every clue, every hidden connection, every unanswered moment has been leading here. Last night was never the ending of the story. It was the beginning of a completely different way of seeing it. The illusion was not created by one person or one event. It grew piece by piece until it became impossible to separate appearance from reality. That is why so many people accepted it without question. They saw only what was directly in front of them while the real meaning remained quietly hidden beneath the surface. As the hidden layers continue to fall away, something remarkable begins to happen. The questions that once demanded immediate answers slowly lose their power. They are replaced by a much bigger realization. Every event that seemed disconnected now forms one continuous path. Every delay suddenly feels intentional. Every coincidence begins to look like another piece of a carefully arranged design. Stay till the end, because the next discovery changes the direction of everything you've heard so far. The deeper you look, the clearer it becomes that the story was never trying to hide from you. It was waiting for the exact moment when you were ready to understand it. Until that moment arrived, every clue looked ordinary. Now each one shines with a meaning that could never have been recognized before. Imagine reading the final page of a mystery before reading the first chapter. Nothing would make sense. The ending would seem random, confusing, and incomplete. But when every page is read in the correct order, every tiny detail suddenly becomes important. That is exactly what happened after last night. The scattered fragments finally found their proper place. The conversations you dismissed. The quiet moments you overlooked. The decisions that once appeared insignificant. Together they reveal a pattern so consistent that it becomes impossible to ignore. Don't skip, because the next revelation doesn't introduce something new. It reveals what has been standing beside you from the very beginning. The closer you move toward the center of the mystery, the more unexpected the journey becomes. Instead of finding one hidden answer, you discover that every answer opens another door. Behind each door waits another layer, another perspective, another forgotten detail that completely changes what came before. This is why the story refuses to end where most people expect it to. Every conclusion creates another beginning. Every certainty gives way to another possibility. Every explanation uncovers another mystery. That is the power of what unraveled last night. It did not simply expose a secret. It transformed the meaning of every moment that led to it. Now the silence carries more weight than words ever could. No dramatic announcement was needed. No loud interruption changed the course of events. The greatest shift happened quietly. A single overlooked detail finally found its place among all the others, and suddenly nothing looked the same again. Stay till the end because the final realization is closer than ever. Once it appears, you will understand why the strongest truths rarely arrive with noise. They arrive with clarity, changing everything without demanding attention. Think about how often people believe they understand someone after hearing only part of their story. They build conclusions from fragments. They connect dots that were never meant to be connected. They mistake confidence for certainty. But certainty without the complete picture is only another illusion. Last night broke that illusion apart. It revealed that the missing pieces were never missing forever. They were simply waiting until every other piece had been placed first. Only then could the complete image appear. Every hidden layer you've uncovered has been preparing you for this final realization. Nothing was wasted. Even the moments that felt confusing had a purpose. Even the unanswered questions carried value because they kept the search alive. If every answer had arrived immediately, the deeper truth would have remained invisible. The journey itself created the understanding. That is why this moment feels different from every other moment before it. You are no longer searching blindly. You are beginning to recognize the pattern that has quietly existed all along. The greatest surprise is not that everything changed. The greatest surprise is discovering how little actually changed. The facts remained where they always were. The memories remained exactly as they happened. The only thing that transformed was perspective. Once perspective changed, every familiar detail revealed an entirely different meaning. What once appeared ordinary suddenly became extraordinary. What once looked complete suddenly revealed hidden spaces that no one had noticed before. That single shift turned an ordinary story into something unforgettable. Now you can almost see the complete picture forming. The final connections are beginning to lock into place. Every unanswered question is becoming quieter because the pattern itself is providing the answers. You are no longer chasing random clues. You are watching the entire story reveal itself exactly as it was always meant to be seen. Don't look away now. The final chapter is closer than ever, and when the last hidden piece is finally revealed, you will realize that the greatest mystery was never about what happened last night. It was about how easily the truth can remain hidden until the exact moment everything is finally seen together. The closer you come to the end, the more one question refuses to disappear. If everything became clearer after last night, what was the one detail that remained hidden until the very last moment? Don't skip, because this final stretch reveals why the entire journey had to unfold exactly as it did. Every clue you followed has been leading toward a realization that cannot be understood in isolation. It only makes sense when every previous piece stands together. The remarkable truth is that nothing here depended on luck. Every discovery arrived at precisely the moment it was needed, allowing the larger picture to emerge naturally instead of all at once. As the final connections settle into place, the story stops feeling like a mystery and starts feeling like a revelation. The smallest moments suddenly become the most significant. A passing remark, a forgotten memory, an overlooked choice, each one now carries a meaning that was invisible before. Stay till the end, because the final insight changes everything without changing a single fact. That is what makes it unforgettable. The truth was never hiding behind impossible barriers. It was hidden behind ordinary moments that nobody thought were important enough to notice. Once those moments are seen together, the illusion disappears, leaving only clarity where confusion once existed. There is a strange kind of peace that comes from finally understanding what once seemed impossible to explain. The search begins to slow, not because there is nothing left to discover, but because the answers no longer feel distant. They have quietly surrounded you from the very beginning. Every unanswered question has become another thread in a much larger design. Every unexpected turn has become another reason the ending feels complete. The story no longer asks you to guess what happened, it invites you to recognize what has been present all along. Now imagine stepping back and looking at the entire journey from the very first moment until now. Every twist that felt unexpected. Every clue that seemed insignificant. Every pause that appeared meaningless. Together they create a single picture that could never have been understood piece by piece. That is why last night matters so much. It wasn't simply another event. It became the point where scattered fragments finally found their place. The confusion faded, and the hidden pattern became impossible to ignore. The greatest lesson from everything you've witnessed is not about secrets or surprises. It is about perspective. When perspective changes, familiar things reveal unfamiliar meanings. What once looked complete suddenly reveals deeper layers. What once looked uncertain begins to make perfect sense. That transformation is more powerful than any single revelation because it changes the way every future discovery will be understood. Don't skip, because the journey may be ending, but the understanding it leaves behind is only beginning. And now the final image stands before you, complete at last. Nothing has been added that wasn't already there. Nothing has been removed from the story you believed. The difference is that every piece finally belongs where it was always meant to be. What unraveled last night was never just a hidden truth, it was the illusion that prevented the truth from being seen. Once that illusion disappeared, everything became clearer than ever before. The mystery has reached its conclusion, but the realization it leaves behind will continue long after the story ends. The story has reached the point where there are no more distractions, only the truth that has quietly revealed itself piece by piece. If you've stayed this far, you've already realized that the greatest discoveries rarely arrive with noise. They arrive in silence, waiting for someone willing to notice what everyone else overlooked. Don't skip, because the final realization is not about what happened last night. It is about what changed within the story itself. Every hidden clue, every forgotten detail, and every unexpected connection has been guiding you toward this exact moment. What once looked like scattered events now stands together as one complete picture, proving that the answers were never far away, they were simply waiting to be seen from the right perspective. Now, look back to where this journey began. You started with certainty, convinced that everything you knew was complete. But each revelation slowly removed another layer until certainty transformed into understanding. That is the difference between believing a story and truly seeing it. The most surprising part is that the ending was quietly present from the very beginning. Every conversation carried a clue. Every silence held meaning. Every overlooked moment was preparing for this final connection. Stay till the end, because this is where every loose thread finally comes together, leaving no mystery without purpose and no question without direction. As everything settles into place, one final thought remains. Some stories are remembered because of their ending. Others are remembered because they changed the way you see every moment that came before them. This is one of those stories. Last night did not rewrite history, it revealed the hidden pattern that had always existed beneath it. And once that pattern became visible, nothing could ever be viewed the same way again. The mystery is over, but the realization stays with you long after the final words fade, reminding you that sometimes the biggest revelation isn't discovering something new, it's finally recognizing what has been in front of you all along. For a moment, everything feels still. Not because there are no more answers, but because your mind is finally catching up with everything that has been revealed. The silence now means something completely different than it did at the beginning. It is no longer filled with uncertainty, it is filled with understanding. Don't skip, because one final perspective remains. Every clue that once seemed isolated has become part of a single, unbroken chain. The remarkable part is that none of those clues demanded attention when they first appeared. They blended into ordinary moments, waiting patiently until the entire pattern could be seen. That is why the truth remained invisible for so long. It wasn't hidden by distance. It was hidden by familiarity. As you replay every moment in your mind, something extraordinary begins to happen. The beginning no longer feels like the beginning, and the ending no longer feels like the end. They become reflections of one another. Every question you asked early in the journey quietly contains the answer you have now discovered. Every uncertainty was guiding you toward a clearer perspective without you realizing it. Stay till the end, because this final connection changes the meaning of everything once more. The story was never asking you to chase dramatic twists. It was inviting you to notice the details that everyone else walked past. Those details became the foundation of every revelation, proving that the smallest moments often carry the greatest significance. Now the entire picture stands complete before you. There are no missing pieces left to search for, no hidden corners waiting to be uncovered. Only clarity remains. What unraveled last night was not simply a secret, it was the illusion that convinced everyone they already knew the whole story. Once that illusion disappeared, every event found its proper place, every clue revealed its purpose, and every unanswered question finally made sense. The journey ends here, but its message remains the same. The truth is rarely the loudest voice in the room. More often, it is the quiet detail that patiently waits until everything else has fallen into place.